Hey guys, what's going on? It's Cynical and welcome back to another Kingdom Hearts video. Today for you guys, I thought we would sit down and talk a little bit about the Kingdom Hearts 2 altered and removed cutscenes that were once in the game. We saw these in a few of the very old Kingdom Hearts 2 trailers before, of course, the release of the game, but there are a few different scenes that didn't actually make it into the final product. Now, removed content, better content, it's something that we are used to, and Kingdom Hearts games generally do tend to contain quite a lot of it. And especially we're seeing like a lot of these different Kingdom Hearts 2 trailers that show us scenes that aren't actually in the final product. Some are, of course, just simply altered, but then we do have scenes that altogether just didn't make it into the game. And so it kind of got me thinking, well, what are some of the scenes that we've actually seen within a few of the different Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers that are likely not to actually make it into the final product? Now, of course, we won't know what scenes won't make it into the final product until, of course, we receive Kingdom Hearts 3 later on this year, but that is certainly an interesting thing that I'm going to be paying attention to once we do actually get Kingdom Hearts 3. Go back to a lot of the different trailers that we have received over the years and take a look at the pieces of content that are apparent in the trailers but aren't apparent in the final product. However, for today, we're going to be doing exactly that, but for, of course, Kingdom Hearts 2. And quickly, I do want to shout out Boz. He is the dude that has a nice compiled video of pretty much all of the Kingdom Hearts 2 scenes that were either altered or just didn't make it into the final product. So essentially, we're just going to be talking about the different scenes within this video. Like I was saying, this is pretty much most of them that didn't make their way into the final game. So without further ado, guys, let's just jump straight into it. So the first scene we have right here is a scene of Roxas walking on the top of the clock tower in, of course, Twilight Town. Now, this scene isn't actually in the final product whatsoever. We've seen many different scenes within 358 over 2 days, as well as Kingdom Hearts 2 with Roxas, on top of the clock tower. But this scene in particular, where basically he's walking on the top and walks towards the sunset, there is no scene in the game like this. So it's interesting. I don't know what the context behind this could have been. A lot of these scenes, I often think that perhaps maybe their purpose was only for promotional purpose and advertisement, for the purpose of the scene to only be in the trailer and not the game itself. And so for a scene like this, I kind of feel maybe the purpose behind it was only for one of the trailers. This could have easily been a scene where Roxas is like thinking to himself, or he's having some sort of deep moment. This could have also been an intro scene into Twilight Town as well, when we first start Kingdom Hearts 2, when Roxas wakes up from his first dream. Next up is Roxas running through Twilight Town chasing a dusk nobody. Now, we do know that in the prologue story, essentially there's some wacky stuff going on where basically there is a thief running around the place stealing photos. I would say that this scene right here is something to do with that, basically Roxas chasing after the dusk, and eventually he'll find himself outside the Twilight Town mansion, just like in the final game. However, there is actually no cutscene in the final game where it shows us Roxas running through Twilight Town chasing the dusk nobody, but I would say that this cutscene right here is just essentially an altered cutscene that was probably going to be used for that scenario of chasing the dusk. Now, this next one right here is actually hilarious. It's beautiful, and it triggers me so much that this never made it in to the final product whatsoever. So this cutscene right here is of Donald and Goofy. They're standing in the room before the memory pod room where Sora was. This is that little hallway area with the remaining memory pods, and this is a cutscene of Donald and Goofy standing in that room. The interesting thing is, in Kingdom Hearts 2, there is actually no cutscene that takes place with Sora, Donald, and Goofy in this room right here. We do have the cutscene of the three in Sora's memory pod room, which is the room after this. But in terms of a cutscene taking place with these characters in this like little hallway thing, there is no cutscene whatsoever. So I don't really know the context behind this, or exactly what Square Enix were thinking when putting together this cutscene, or exactly when abouts in Kingdom Hearts 2 this would take place. I would assume this would take place shortly after Sora gets out of his memory pod, and perhaps maybe this cutscene is when Donald and Goofy get out of their memory pods first, and then we see a short conversation between them, and then shortly afterwards Donald and Goofy make their way into Sora's memory pod room, and then they all reunite. That's kind of like the only scenario as to exactly whereabouts this cutscene could potentially take place. But it's hilarious anyway. It's basically Donald freezing himself, like his blizzard reflects off the memory pod and hits him. I mean, I can't believe they didn't put this in the final game, dude. Come on, Square. This is gold right here. You can't just bin this. Okay, so next up, this appeared in the E3 2005 or 6 trailer, I believe, and this is a scene that we have talked about in the removed content of Kingdom Hearts videos that I have done in the past. I absolutely love this, and in actual fact, this scene, this whole scene right here of Sora and the gang, as well as the organization in the old Hollow Bastion, is probably some of my favorite removed content of all time, because it would appear that at some stage Square Enix were actually planning to use the very original Hollow Bastion that appeared in Kingdom Hearts 1 as the Hollow Bastion that would appear in Kingdom Hearts 2. Now again, the comment that I was making earlier on in the video where basically some of these scenes might have just been used for the purpose of promotion, again, this could be a similar sort of thing going on where essentially they just use this scene of Hollow Bastion right here as a form of promotion to chuck into their trailers, because at this point, perhaps maybe the Hollow Bastion or Radiant Garden that we see in Kingdom Hearts 2 wasn't actually fully developed, so perhaps Square thought that in the meantime they would essentially just use an already developed Hollow Bastion, the one from Kingdom Hearts 1. But again though, this is an entire cutscene. Like, we have an entire cutscene of the organization members appearing, then we have Sora, Donald, and Goofy fighting off Neo shadows right here, and then he's about to jump up to this organization member who I assume is Xemnas at this point, just with the way he's like taking off his hood. But there is a lot going on in this cutscene, and because there is so much going on, it does make me think that at some stage the original Hollow Bastion might have been concepted to be in actual world, or more so, this is what Hollow Bastion was going to be, opposed to the Hollow Bastion we see in Kingdom Hearts 2. Now we do know in Kingdom Hearts 1 that, you know, Sora did save a lot of the worlds from falling into darkness, and Hollow Bastion being one of them, hence the reason that Hollow Bastion in Kingdom Hearts 2 is now going through a restoration period, and that, for the most part, pretty much all of the world looks completely different. So from a lore perspective, seeing Hollow Bastion the exact same as we saw it in Kingdom Hearts 1 probably wouldn't have made too much sense, and this is ultimately why Square Enix likely changed it to the Hollow Bastion we see in KH2. So this next scene right here is the encounter between Roxas and Axel during the prologue of Kingdom Hearts 2. Now, this cutscene you guys will find very familiar, because for the most part we do actually have this cutscene in Kingdom Hearts 2, only that this cutscene is a little bit different. Like I was saying, there are some altered cutscenes in here. So the difference here is the very start of this cutscene. So if we roll it back right here, you guys will see like all of the particle effects and the cool little like flickers and stuff going around the Keyblade. Not only that, but you will also notice a kind of wind force effect that ends up hitting Roxas and sort of pushes him back a little bit. That part of this cutscene right here was not in the final cutscene that we see in Kingdom Hearts 2. I'm not too entirely sure as to why they decided to remove that tiny little detail with the particle effects and like the wind effects, but they did. Now, I'm not entirely too sure what's different about this cutscene right here. For the most part, it looks pretty much exactly the same as what we see in the final version of the game. The only difference that I did notice in this cutscene is this scene right here when Mickey kind of turns. In the final version, he brings his hand up to be like, shh, don't say shit. But in this version right here, he just simply turns, so that's really the only difference I picked up on. Now, this next cutscene is pretty interesting. We can see Sora sealing a keyhole in what looks to be the dark margin. We can see the dark margin rocks in the background. It is pretty hard to see with this quality, but without a doubt, this definitely would seem like it is the dark margin. Now, Sora is sealing a keyhole in the dark margin, and nothing of the such actually happens in the game itself. We do know that both Sora and Riku make their way to the dark margin at the very end of the game after they defeat Xemnas. They essentially sit in the dark margin for a little bit, and eventually they get the note in the bottle, then the doorway of light opens up, and they make their way back to Destiny Islands. But in the sense of Sora literally sealing a keyhole in the dark margin, this doesn't actually happen in the full game. Again, this could just be a cutscene for the purpose of advertisement. This scene is also really, really cool as well. We've talked about this in the past within removed content videos, but essentially in this scene, this is the 1000 Heartless battle, as you guys should all know, one of the best parts of KH2. But the cool part about this is that in this scene right here, it actually showed us Heartless Wavens, as well as Heartless Behemoths. Now, these guys were actually meant to be in Kingdom Hearts 2, but more specifically, they were meant to appear in the Battle of the 1000 Heartless, especially the Behemoths, but there was an interview behind this, and Square Enix was saying that due to the PlayStation 2's power power. With already having all of these Watcher Heartless surrounding Sora, and with how many of them were on screen, they just didn't have the processing power to also put in Wavens as well as the Behemoths in during that battle. Nowadays though, we do have the PlayStation 4, and the power behind it is like, I don't know, like 32, 38, 62, potentially even 108 times more stronger than a PlayStation 2, so something like this is definitely possible. And the very final removed scene right here, which really isn't a removed scene, this is more so a scene for the purpose of an actual trailer, is the now in development scene, but for Kingdom Hearts 2. Now, I only just came across this scene right here very recently. I didn't even know that there was a work in progress or development screen for KH2, but this kind of thing with Square Enix showing that their game is now in progress right at the end of one of their trailers hasn't just been a thing for Kingdom Hearts 3, but it's clearly been around for quite some time. So it's really, really cool to see this, but for Kingdom Hearts 2 with Twilight Town in the background, and then we've got the work in progress. I mean, it brings back a lot of memories. However, guys, with all that being said, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Some very, very interesting stuff. I love looking at removed content and just stuff that was removed from the final product of the game. In Kingdom Hearts 2's case, it has a lot of removed stuff. Even when looking towards these deleted scenes, there's a lot of altered and removed scenes. And especially when looking towards the Hollow Bastion stuff, that will forever remain a mystery. I really want to know a little bit more about that, and whether or not Hollow Bastion was originally meant to be in KH2, and then at the last minute it was just pulled from the game. I would love to know more on it. However, guys, I've been Cynical. Hopefully you dudes are having an absolutely fantastic day. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. However, guys, with all that being said, I'll catch you next time. Peace.
Hit them on the page, you'll be coming through stain. Gold in my mouth when you suckers be bluffing. Milk crate, gaming up the bitch though. Catch me in the back playing Super Nintendo.